Okay, hi Renee. We'll call the Tremont Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, April 29th to order at 6 p.m. Roll call, we have Renee Hodgson, Brett Witham, Beth Gott, myself, Mark Good, and Ben, what's his name down there? Harper. Sorry you got your name wrong the last time, Ben. I'm losing, I lost part of my, yeah, whatever. Our Code Enforcement Officer, Angie Chamberlain, and members of the public. Okay, we don't have any absences, so no need to excuse anything. Minutes. They look fine to me. Anybody see anything?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and second to approve the minutes of April 8th as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Okay, I guess we can open the public hearing, huh? What's the time, Beth?
It is 6 o'clock.
Okay, we'll open, oh, it's 6. Okay, we'll open a public hearing for the stairway on the water for the Fantes, and at 6 p.m. Any comments? Are you the applicant, or?
No, I'm in a butter.
Oh, okay. Do you have any comments?
No, it's fine by us.
Okay.
We'll support it.
Sarah, anything to say? Okay. Okay. That being said, we'll close the public hearing at probably 6:01, and move on to making a decision here. See that they have got the flood hazard permit, so we're all set there. Okay, Angie has prepared a nice checklist here for us. A little different than what we're used to, and this is fine. I like this. Thank you, Angie. I guess the first one is here. We don't need to go through the non-applicable ones, right?
I just highlighted the ones.
Just the ones that we need to go through. That's what I, yeah, okay. And then, of course, section 3.
Right.
Yep, okay.
And then you can make motions after.
Okay. We need to determine whether it meets or does not meet the erosion and sedimentation control standards. If you remember on, just I brought it, the actual application, they did detail how they were going to put up the silt fence and other things. I don't know where that is. There it is right here. Right here. The silt fence will be properly installed at the edge of the disturbed areas between the activity and the resource before the activity begins, will be maintained until the disturbed area is permanently stabilized and be removed within 30 days of final stabilization of the site. Disturbed soils will be permanently stabilized and mulch will be spread on any exposed soils within 7 calendar days following the completion of soil disturbance and prior to any storm event as necessary. To me, that meets the erosion sedimentation control standards. Anybody have any comments on that? Or feel differently? You need a vote on that?
I would say if you're all in agreement, you don't need to vote on it. If there's one that you don't agree on, then have a vote on it.
No, I agree.
I agree.
That hasn't said anything, so
I think it's fine, yeah.
it's fine. Okay, so we say it does meet the erosion control standards. And we're gonna have to determine whether it meets or does not meet the flood hazard area standards. And Angie, that, since they have the application, well, they must meet the standards, right?
I agree.
You agree?
I agree.
Yes?
I agree.
Renee?
I agree.
Mr. Whitlam?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, that meets it. Okay. And we have to find whether the project meets or does not meet the water quality protection standards. And given what we just, I just read regarding the stabilization and that sort of thing and the silt fence, I think it does meet that.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, we all agree. Okay, now, on this, we have to determine whether the project will maintain safe and healthful conditions. To me, that's a yes. Or somebody falls down the steps, right?
Right.
I agree.
We agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Will the project not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters? That's a yes,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Board will find the project will adequately provide for the disposal of wastewater. That's not applicable.
Not applicable.
Not applicable, yeah.
The board finds the project will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat.
Yes.
It's a yes to me.
Yes.
Nobody disagrees, okay? Board finds that the project will conserve shore cover and visual, as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess it's a yes. It's like, it's not really an access point anyway, so I was wondering if whether it should be not applicable. But yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay. Board finds that the project will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan.
Not applicable, I would think.
You don't think a yes?
Are there any archaeological or historic resources designated there in the comprehensive plan?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Thought it was not applicable.
I think it's not applicable.
Okay, not applicable, okay. The board finds that the project will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a commercial fisheries maritime activity zone. It's not in that zone, so not applicable.
Right.
The board finds that the project will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. That's a yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay, there's actually some stuff here about the applicant have to be advised about this. So I'm guessing we're gonna approve this, given from what we just went through. And Angie, in her memo, has laid out a nice little suggested motion on the second page there. Anybody want to make that motion?
Under the authority and requirements of the Land Use Ordinance Article 8D 12.
Hold on, that's a little different than what I'm looking at. Move to
That's
find
on the front.
that based on the findings and conclusions on the memorandum.
I can do it.
It's in the memo, not the decision.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Want me to-
that confused me until I looked at it too, Ben. So-
want me to do it?
Okay, Renee's gonna do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Based on the above findings and conclusions, the board approves the application of Paolo and Monica Fanti to install a set of stairs to
to the water as permitted in Article 4, A to C of Tremont Land Use Ordinance.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to approve the set of stairs application from Paulo and Monica Fati as stated by Renee. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Okay, need anything else on that, Angie?
Nope.
You need me to sign something?
Yeah, I'll have you sign it with the minutes.
Okay. Okay, moving right along here. Angie has come up with something from the comp plan here, where there are a couple priority items that she wants us to take a look at and discuss, and maybe,
I'm just curious, who drafted this?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
This came out of the comp plan.
So this is like this is like a page in the comp plan?
yeah, a few pages, yeah.
Like, including this here, responsible for?
Right,
something?
yes, that-
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
You know, it's too
I
bad
just
you
don't
weren't on the
remember,
comp
I
plan
just don't
committee
remember,
there,
well, feels like it's been years since we did that.
I know, it's like, yeah.
And it didn't say where it came from, so I didn't know.
Right, right. And we also, Brett and I were both on the committee as well as Sarah over there.
Oh, it's so the page, at the bottom is the page that it came out of?
Oh, I see, yeah, I didn't even notice that.
I didn't either.
And frankly, I think that we can just dismiss goals 3 and 4 because, as you see, the responsible party has nothing to do with the planning board. What do you think? And if there's ever a bicycle lane,
It's never gonna happen.
Wow, that's never gonna happen.
yeah, I know.
We can't even get our
I'm
roads
I'm gonna win Powerball before there's a bicycle lane in town, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah.
It's okay, I was just
I
gonna
mean,
say.
it'd be great- it'd be
you probably
great.
know, We kind of also have those as priorities, and we know how difficult.
I'd love for there to be a bicycle
I would-
lane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody wants it, but
sunrise, so they'd be out on the
the
road.
cost and, yeah,
I think, sorry, I
like,
don't,
fix the roads first.
Exactly, right.
I'm sorry, Sarah.
am I allowed to comment? Just to tell you that we are also looking at island, what might in the future be island-wide transit, whether it be bus or van, we're just kind of,
Right,
also, the sustainability committee is kind of
right.
looking at those as well in the future.
Well, good. So that we, if everybody agrees with what I just said, that there's no need to discuss 3 and 4, that leaves us with 1 and 2.
Okay.
And 1, I really, I'm not sure how we as a planning board can do much about this. And frankly, if you look, there's on the responsible party or parties, there's that quote-unquote proposed economic task force, which has never been formed. I would say that until that gets formed and they start doing their work and maybe can make some recommendations to us, I'm not sure what we can do.
I don't know either. Yeah, I mean, 'cause
Angie,
I
you have any
just-
ideas?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty broad
It's very broad.
action.
I mean, who were these idiots on the comp plan committee?
Yeah,
anyway?
I know. Who the heck was that? Who was on that committee anyway?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be one group that's going to address some of these action items.
Right, right. Which leaves us with the big number 2, okay?
Well, there was one
Well-
on number 2 that I asked Jesse, I said, what does the bottom one even mean?
Which one? What?
The bottom of 2, the very last one, that's
planning board.
Yeah,
Research.
advanced septic systems.
Yeah,
Oh, that,
yeah, we all.
I remember we discussed that during the,
I'm sure at that point I was,
yeah, okay, I see what you're saying, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
you're familiar with the term that a camel is a horse designed by committee?
Yes.
I would say the comprehensive plan is a camel quite a bit, so.
wouldn't the way, actually the way that would work, wouldn't if there were advanced systems for septic, then it would be in the market and a proposed developer or someone could
right.
say they want to do
Yeah.
that.
But the thing is with that, is
Yeah.
like, as a contractor's type view, it's the engineer
Yeah.
who goes to the site,
Yeah.
who designs the system,
Yeah.
and they are using new,
Yeah.
chambers
Right.
are being kinda, there's new systems out there that are smaller.
That's great, but from our perspective, we're just gonna see a permit, like, we're gonna see someone that says, okay, that's the system, like an engineer signs off on it, we're fine, like, whether it's, I don't care how new it is or how old it is. Like, I don't know, it's us, it's gonna drive the adoption of new technology and septic systems.
They're gonna have to, it's the engineer
Yeah.
that's gonna
Right.
do it, so whatever committee it is gonna have to talk to the engineer who's designing them.
Yeah. And
So who's that?
Well, you've got a couple, you've got Roger St. Amand,
Yeah.
and you've got, Bill LaBelle, and,
That we could invite them to come and talk to us or something. But I just don't know what the outcome is gonna be. To me, it's not gonna change anything, but somebody's gonna come with a new building or go to the, CEO, and if it has an engineer, qualified engineer that signs off on it and says it's gonna work, then so be it.
but it's your code enforcement officer who's gonna sign off on it
That's
after,
right.
after the,
I guess is the code over prescriptive on exactly what qualifies as a?
Right, yes, so I think that's where this is sort of strange, because, like you said, you're not researching these systems, they already either exist
Exist,
or
or-
somebody's,
in the
Developing.
process.
right, developed them so that they meet the subsurface wastewater disposal code, and then they bring a plan to us,
And they would be allowable now,
Right.
under the current
Right.
standards, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not, I
So-
don't really understand what you would be doing with this.
Nothing unless the code was so prescriptive, like it was, it was narrow, like it only allowed you to approve certain things. But if the standards are kind of broad, and it doesn't matter what kind of technology it is, so long as it meets whatever the standards are, then who cares? It's gonna happen of its own accord.
Yeah.
These new projects have to be accepted by the state before we could accept them?
Well, some do, I mean, it depends on what the design is, I mean, but alternative systems are allowed.
Yeah.
You know, some can be permitted by the code officer, and other times they have to go to the state for approval.
So if Daphne shows up with a plan, then,
Well, if an engineer signs off on it, okay?
yeah, they're good.
I have a question on the short-term rental part of, like, the planning board's role or action. Understand the short-term rental situation in Tremont. How
Right.
do we know? Because we don't know.
Didn't that get
Well,
shut
We're gonna
down?
get a list of-
Yeah, we
Did we try to do
tried
that?
to do something,
yeah,
and just a
right.
simple
List of every
registration
house.
They got shut
process
down.
and got shut
Yeah.
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
the town
Yeah.
voted it
Done.
down.
How can
Town voted it down,
We tried.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we would have no way of knowing when someone buys a house, is it going to be a short-term rental or not? We're not getting a list, so how
That's
can we
right.
act on that?
right, right.
As a planning board?
However,
Can try again.
there-
Yeah, well, we know.
Your brother was all for that, wasn't he?
Oh, weird, yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to sell them all now, so.
he's trying to sell them all.
Yeah, some people aren't nice people.
What was I gonna say?
Short-term rentals.
Short-term rental, okay, I
Renters
mean.
aren't nice people.
There could be some changes made to change the lot size requirements that might allow for a smaller home to be constructed. I think even the state's promoting that sort of thing, right? Okay, but what's preventing it from becoming a weekly rental instead of, year-round housing for someone.
Nothing. I mean,
Nothing, yeah.
Nothing. The only way what's this thing supposed to do? Let's see. Work to develop policies that are best for Tremont. It doesn't even say what's best,
Right.
Maybe someone decides that actually short-term rentals are great, we should keep doing it. I mean, maybe that's the best.
That's
Like,
what a lot of this is, I think, just vague, it's like, what I
What is
think is
best?
good, someone else might not, so
Yeah.
it's not very
Depends on what you
specific.
want, if you want a year-round community or, it does say explore clear zoning and land use to encourage steady housing market growth and allows for influx of new year-round residents. I mean, that suggests that you would curtail short-term rentals, but like I said, we
But
tried to
we-
get
they-
data on
that-
that, no one wanted to do it, so I don't.
The one thing that I've wondered about, where is it here? Is some of these, like the Island Housing Trust and those things, which are great, they're just single-family homes, and I think there's a shortage of apartments, people that rent, and a lot of people have to rent because they can't afford a home, or they're renting and saving money so they can afford a home. So I don't know if there's anything we can do where to allow apartments, obviously in the ordinance, and cluster housing, and I think that was mentioned somewhere too. I don't know what we can do to encourage multifamily units, if anything. Because it's really the developer that's going to propose that sort of thing. I mean, is there no money in it?
Yeah, I don't think there's a return on your investment in long-term apartment type rentals.
Yeah, there aren't enough jobs for people to have to do that. There's all kinds of, if you have seasonal rentals, it's great. I mean, all the seasonal businesses now provide them, housing for their employees because there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of, look around,
I see people saying, oh, I want to rent a place like on Barter and Swap all the time,
yeah,
And there is some kind of rental resource thing. But look at Ellsworth, they're building all those apartments up
Yeah.
there. We don't see any of that happening on the island at all, really.
Well, I think until you have sewer and water.
Well, that's the biggest issue. How
Oh,
can we-
there's that too,
As a
yeah,
town, we
yeah.
can't sustain apartment buildings like that because we don't have town sewer and water, so.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a move
Now,
forward.
there was an apartment building off the Kellytown Road. I think there was like 10 apartments or something.
Like
Larry-
duplexes.
Larry
And
Reed.
it recently sold, or like a year or so ago sold, and they're gonna convert it all into weekly rentals.
Right.
And so everybody had to move out.
Mhm.
And kids that were going to the Tremont school, their parents couldn't find a place here, they had to move somewhere else. Kids had to go to a different school. I mean, I don't like that stuff. It just doesn't, it's not a year-round community when that sort of thing
That's
happens.
what happened when we promoted the island.
What part?
That's what happens when you promote the island.
Yeah.
Yeah. You lose your small communities, or the feel of the community. People can't afford to stay here.
I don't know. And the only thing I can think of would be you try another crack at getting some data, but
Well, there's that, yeah, for the weekly rentals.
well, because it's the same. They're tied together. This idea of new year-round residents versus short-term rentals. As long as the ROI is higher for short-term rentals for developers, you're not going to see unless you just unless you stop. Don't allow it to happen. You can't do it. That'll change the
That's-
calculus.
That's the only thing.
That's
that
the
will
only
change
thing
it.
you can do.
Right.
I did get on Air DNA, and I used their free software. And I printed off for all of you where all
the short-term rentals are located in Tremont, and it actually showed 305.
Yeah. It seems like
305?
every house that sells is
And,
one of those
I mean,
now.
I don't know how many housing
Yeah.
units you have here, maybe 1,200, something like that, and
Right.
305 of them are short-term rentals.
So until we stop that,
So
this is
like,
gonna just
How much,
continue.
how many total? 1,200?
I think somewhere around there.
So a quarter?
A quarter of the houses are,
Yeah.
short-term rentals.
But a lot of times, the people who live there go to a campground.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Rent the
yeah.
house
There's
in the
that,
morning,
yeah,
so
yeah,
they can pay
in
the
the summer,
taxes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, I know people that do that.
Yeah.
Do they
That's
count,
enough, but-
do they count, like summer homes that are full-time summer homes, but rent, are those included in that
I
short-term
think if
rentals?
they, like, scour websites and they find it listed
Yeah.
for any amount of time, it's included. I mean, I think there's a little bit of error in some of these numbers, but I looked through some of the pictures and, I mean, some of them seem pretty valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my brother takes care of all the.
Well, no wonder they didn't want
And
it.
the
No, we
Dodge
didn't
Point.
get the data.
That's what it's
And
like.
all of those, I
Exactly.
mean, they've been,
Right.
the places
That's
have
a lot of
been
money
there
to
for
make.
years,
Yeah.
but the people do rent weekly, not all the time, but
Right.
some of the time, so.
I was surprised how many there are.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns too, when we were proposing that was, oh, what's gonna happen next? You know, they were all worried that, we were gonna become Bar Harbor. And they actually used Bar Harbor as an example. And I was at the I don't know
You
if
mean
you were
shut- you
there, I
mean-
was
you
at
mean
the
shut,
selectmen's
like,
meeting,
cap it
I
or
said
something?
you would have to vote on anything that what got proposed beyond this. And that didn't sway anybody, obviously, so.
If you don't have a vote, you don't have to worry about losing.
I mean, the reality is it might be too late. I mean,
Right.
if you're gonna try to, if you think you wanna get in front of that and change how the demographics are gonna be, you've gotta do it before too many people are investor, you know, are kinda like on.
'Cause they'll never be on
Because
board
then
with
they're
this.
never gonna be on board, they're
Right.
actually making money on it.
Right.
So taking short-term rentals off the table, is there a way that we, as a planning board, can encourage more year-round housing? I mean, we're not gonna solve it tonight, obviously, but I'm just putting
Yeah,
that question
but-
out there.
Yeah, put a paper mill down there. Get some,
Is
some
that-
jobs. You need jobs. People need jobs in order to be
But
here
the
year
thing is,
round.
they don't wanna go to work. I mean,
Well,
let's
then
just for an example, okay, so here's, I can't believe it, that woman is throwing trash in the town dumpster.
Yeah, well, she's.
But anyway, so let's just take Gotts Store. Jen
Yeah.
cannot find people who wanna work a 40-hour week.
I know.
They wanna work a 20-hour week,
Right.
and they wanna work
And if it's sunny on a
from
Friday.
9 to 12 or what.
Exactly.
She's
But I-
cleaning.
Oh, okay,
She's
all right,
cleaning,
phew,
that's,
thank God.
yeah.
But I also
I'm going,
think, you
oh my
know,
God.
and look, those are great jobs, but they're not, like, if you're gonna get people here year-round, families, you've gotta have a job that's,
Yeah,
you
paper
know,
mill is a good
paying,
job.
you know,
You mean like at the lab?
yeah, and we're
But I
not
mean-
hiring. In fact, we're going the other way,
Yeah, I'll bet,
so,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Right, I mean, Jen has to hire, foreign help in the summer, you know, and so she has to find a place for him to stay, but I mean, she's paying people, cashiers,
Yeah.
$17, $18 an hour, and they don't wanna work.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
our
and
entry
then
level is
local people
$25
say-
an hour, we can't find enough people.
I mean, it's just,
Because they can get paid that in Ellsworth, they don't have to drive.
well, CNC machines selling because they can't find any,
Machinists.
welders, machinists.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
So,
just.
Right.
what
I'm
are
getting
peop-
Airbnb.
What are people
Right.
doing? I mean, what are people doing to pay their bills?
I have no idea.
Day trading, I don't know.
They're leaving.
They're leaving, that's what's happening.
Yeah, but when you go to Ellsworth, you look around, you're like, why aren't these people at work? What are they doing?
Go to Walmart.
Yeah,
If
go
you
to
want a real-
Walmart.
Oh,
It's
geez.
like, how come, and it's any day of the week.
I do think, you know, we went past the item, and I was reading something else, not paying attention, we were talking about it. We went past the item about sort of redrawing the map, of the zoning and whatnot. where do we talk, let's see, see proposed future land use map, it says there.
Oh,
which-
yeah, yeah.
Like,
We did create something.
I mean, that's, why wouldn't we look at that? I mean,
Yeah, but Angie looked into that, and a lot of the stuff state-wise, we can't.
we can't do it?
Right.
We can't move it back anymore.
Oh, really? All right, well, I guess our work is done here, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
I second
But
the
there were
motion.
some
There
areas
was
like,
some
that
areas
we
that
did
could,
identify,
but-
like on the Ridgetown, I mean,
Yeah.
Kellytown Road area up there.
Yeah.
Not
Is your
Ridgetown,
growth
Kellytown.
areas, you mean?
Yes,
Pardon?
yes,
Yeah,
the growth areas.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
growth
Town,
areas, yeah.
and then the triangle.
But is there anything in our ordinances that is prohibiting growth in those areas?
Oh,
No.
Or is it just a matter of people
No.
can't afford to buy the property and build a
I
house?
think there's multiple issues, but I do think that some of the zoning is a little bit strict here. I
Mhm.
think.
In what way, Angie?
Like lot size or?
Well, maybe not lot size,
Yeah,
but
good.
40,000 square feet per dwelling in some areas, or 40 and 20 is, that's a lot of land. Do you really need to have that much if you can get a septic system? And, you don't wanna really encourage people to sprawl, you want them to cluster and,
Well, that's one of the things mentioned in
So
the
is that
plan,
lot size
too.
or no? Is it, what are you,
well,
A
like
smaller lot
density.
size.
oh,
Yeah, your density, so how many houses on a lot.
on a lot?
But if you don't control the short-term rental issue,
Yeah, you end up having
That's what-
short-term
that's
rentals
what'll-
being put on the
that's
property.
what'll come in.
Yeah,
right,
that's,
you'll just end
yeah,
up building more short-term rentals. So.
yeah.
Which is what happened on Kellytown,
Pardon?
which is what happened at that family lane on Kellytown in the growth area. It's now short-term rentals. The one you were mentioning earlier with.
Oh, the
kids.
apartments, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
the duplex.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And that's in the growth area, which would be perfect for families.
so we shut down the park. Or, I think that's being proposed somewhere, right?
Limit the number of tourists, shut the park down.
We put a gate up at the bridge,
Yeah.
yeah.
With, in Bar Harbor, now that they've limited short-term or capped it, what is happening in the housing market? Does anyone know? Is it just, I assume it's not magically now moving to
No.
year-round,
No, but.
because it's an
I
artificial.
think it does, places can't be marketed anymore as having great rental history. And you can't market it as being an income-producing property anymore. So
So it hurts the resale.
the numbers, well, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna sell for.
Yeah, it's not gonna sell at the amount that it would if it could be a
Right,
short-term rental,
exactly.
as an investment
So,
property.
The numbers going down, the owner occupieds are going up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either.
Right.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
that's a way for them to live here
Right.
and make income, so. I don't know,
I'm just skeptical that it drives it will somehow magically
Yeah, I
drive
don't
single
think it'll do
family.
that. No.
You've gotta create jobs first.
Right.
You gotta have.
We don't have the jobs.
Jobs for people.
You gotta be able to
that.
afford it.
Right,
That's
and
right.
we don't have that. And I just think it's, we
You can
don't have
slow
the
it down,
workforce.
I suppose.
Yeah.
You know?
What about the lobstering community? What about the fishing community? Are there,
Yeah.
what are the jobs out there for, which is what the town is big with?
Mm-hmm.
Do they need sternmen? I mean, I don't know. You all probably know that community better than I do.
Well, Ben's on the harbor committee.
You know, a lot of the stern men that the fishermen have come from out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that aren't living here. And they, you know, if you've got someone that's gonna
And you-
show up on time and do a job,
Has a driver's license.
they can make
Yeah.
fairly good money if they, you know, you get these people that come in, like the people at the store.
I mean, it's seasonal
These
work
ones,
though, right?
You know,
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
that's true.
Again, right, seasonal.
Right, but you've got the cost of gas, you've got the
Mhm.
cost of bait is unbelievable now, and, you know.
remember these right whales are gonna make it so expensive that you aren't gonna be able to get one, because
Right.
you'll have to go out and dive for them at some point.
This is the depressing
probably.
meeting. I don't know if I.
They drive really nice trucks. I see the trucks going by.
Yeah, I mean, there's more
Yeah.
fishermen now than ever, and they're making more money than ever, I mean, so they're
And
not
still
hurting.
complaining like they always
right.
did, that they aren't making a cent.
Right.
They're all liars.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't believe a lobster.
yeah, I was gonna say, they're all liars. The only fisherman that ever tells you the truth is when he tells you another fisherman is lying.
Yeah, very secretive about where they fish and, I mean, even Timmy, when he was clamming, you know, there's no way, not even gonna tell his grandson where he clams.
Have we ever done like TIFs here? Have we ever done like tax incentives for development in this town? Probably not, right?
Not to my knowledge, no. And what would it be on?
I don't know. I don't even know yet. I'm just, all I know
You
is.
know,
if we're
at one
yeah.
time, you know, we had Morris here, remember?
Yeah.
Building boats
Yeah.
and that's, but they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd have to attract businesses. I mean, you'd have to have an overall comprehensive economic strategy for all this stuff to work
The
together.
person who's buying CH Rich, what are they gonna do with it, do you know? Does anybody
And there's a
know?
lot of restrictions on that.
Probably build condos for Airbnb. I don't know.
Has it been sold?
No.
Really? Yeah, cause I know someone who wanted to buy it, and they
Yeah.
said, no, it's already been sold.
Oh, it has been
Down by the
sold?
catch, down there?
Oh.
Yeah, my seafood catch.
Oh,
Yes,
oh, I didn't know.
it
that.
was
Yeah,
owned
I
by
think
a
they wanted to buy it,
Canadian
right?
outfit.
It is, but Cody Seavey wanted to buy it, and he offered more money, cause he could use it for, you know, for the barges and thing, it would be perfect, and he told him he'd pay more than the asking price, and they said it had already been sold.
Wow.
Well, still, a lot of people still fish out of there, right? No?
No,
I
they've
don't
been
think it's
doing
a
it again.
working-
Yeah.
No?
Yeah,
They
it's
don't?
not a working-
They don't buy lobsters anymore.
No.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
They did,
No,
they
it-
tried to for a while, but then they.
But
The
it-
storm
Too hard.
Yeah, when the
whacked it.
storm came,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was damaged.
You know, but that's what he does, he, you know, he repairs, you
Yeah,
know,
docks.
docks and stuff,
Yeah.
and it'd be perfect for his barge and what he's doing, and wouldn't even talk to him.
What zone is it? Could they develop there?
Commercial fisheries.
Commercial fishery? Huh.
So
Well,
just,
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
just to add, and this is not as boots on the ground as what you guys deal with, but the sustainability committee is in the future, and it's our future work, looking at ways to bring about opportunities, maybe it's more educational, more, hey, here's the information, of making the fishermen, availability for the fishermen more of a year-round sorts of other things, whether it be growing, I don't know, oyster beds or growing, what's the seaweed, the kelp.
Kelp.
You know, to, which they might not like at all, right? But at least to provide more employment opportunities that might be more year-round. That's something we are going to delve into. The other thing I wanted to just tell you about that last one on goal 2, researching advanced septic treatment options. We're very concerned, and we're looking into the PFAS situation in Tremont and the concerns of, you know, forever, right? It's been, the wells can be 100 feet, I think it's illegal from the septic. And is that something that we need to look in for as far as PFAS? Maybe that's okay, or maybe some of these septics are too old. I know you're looking at newer growth options here. I just wanted you to know that we are also looking into the water system in Tremont overall and what can be found about the current water systems, which probably would also provide information for future water system growth. And it's related to the MDI Biolab. They're working on that now, on PFAS studies. They're not working on septic connection, but it is something that they are applying grants for. I know that that's a big, you know, who knows about grants these days, but I just want you to know it's on our radar. We're also looking at that.
Well, I know a lot of lobstermen used to scallop in the winter, but there aren't as many scallopers as
No,
there used to
I
be.
mean-
It's hard work.
Well, the season's so short too. I
Yeah,
mean,
in
it's-
the zone that they can,
Yeah, yeah.
can work
Yeah.
is shorter, is smaller.
I know there's a guy down east, who's using the green crabs now for fertilizer. So he's just an entrepreneurial guy, he's a lobsterman. And he's now taking the green crabs, whatever he's doing, dehydrating them, and he's now getting pretty good money for them as fertilizer for gardens, and it's there for sale right now at that little garden
It
place.
also sucks the nitrogen out of your system, out of your, I know.
Yeah. So, you know,
With the crab compost that we produce. So,
What does it do?
it sucks the nitrogen out. Timmy used to grow these huge pumpkins, but after 2 years, the nitrogen's gone.
Right.
So that you have to add
Nitrogen.
You have to-
urea.
You have to add fertilizer to the fertilizer?
And, yeah, yeah,
green crabs.
so,
This is crab.
that's what we're licensed for, is we're licensed for seafood, but it was the crab pickers. We have one now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Kathy DeVim's
Yeah, I don't
doesn't
know.
know if she's gonna pick. You got Dorothy Dunbar, she's the only one
Yeah.
picking right now.
Does
Bone is done.
Bone is not done, right?
No, Bona's not gonna do it anymore. So you had all these, David Smith, I mean,
Yeah.
he might be doing it this year, but we don't know. So you had, 10 crab pickers in the area 10 years ago, now you got one.
This is really a complex issue.
Well, if it's any help, I can go back to Jesse and ask about at least what's happening with the economic, what's the task force,
I can answer that,
nothing.
yeah. But you're welcome to ask them. I'm sure you're gonna get the same answer.
If they wanna-
And it's same, if you look at goal number 2 in the list, the newly reconstituted land use ordinance and zoning committee.
I mean,
And I think we'll get across the town attorney off this too.
they need to, make some movement and start checking their needs off.
On the comprehensive plan?
I'm not sure, why, this confused me, why under the housing options, support local gatherings?
Yeah.
Maybe create community.
Ice fishing derby, lobster boat races, I mean, those are good goals for something, but it has nothing to do with housing.
No, you're right.
Was this misplaced?
Yeah, we're trying to have, the sustainability committee, again, is promoting a community market. I know I think
Oh, that
It's-
reminds me.
we're trying to find ways to make this a community feel where families wanna come and gather. It's hard in Tremont, because we have no central park, I mean, we do have the school, which is where we probably wanna have the community.
How are you gonna get a permit for that?
The community market?
Yeah,
I don't think there needs.
there's no standards in our ordinance, so
It's not needed.
we know somebody that kind of is proposing some, yeah, our code enforcement officer, and it's something maybe the planning board would be looking at some point, yeah.
Well, the ice fishing derby, this was the first year in 4 years we've had enough ice to have one.
That's true. How many times they had it in the
They had
gym,
it,
right?
And they canceled, yeah, had the drawings at the gym.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, my question is, I don't know why this is under the housing. I think that's misplaced. What do you think, folks? You want to continue discussing this at some point? You want to wait till?
I think that what Angie had to say, I think that she needs to go back to Jesse and be a little bit more detailed as to what he's looking at, or looking at
I don't
for
think
us to
anybody
do.
has done anything with the comp plan, except maybe the sustainability committee's been looking at it. That's, other than that. It's the first time we have. I know selectmen haven't done
And so
anything.
this proposed economic task force, this is something that's not
There's
Yeah.
there's no economic task force as of now.
Is that comprehensive plan, is that a requirement of the state?
Yeah, you have to do it every 10 years. And that's why this was an update of our old plan.
And I think it's a complete waste of time.
It was a waste of, if that's the case, and I spent a lot, I want my time back.
Okay,
Jesus, because it was a lot of time.
Well, it does.
we
make
can't give you
funding.
$25 an hour, we may be
Yeah.
able to give you 50.
I think
That's-
I know, I think we need to have a heart-to-heart with the town and get feedback on what, I go back to the short-term rental, because so much flows from how, you know, if we go, you know, and make some changes to make it easier, I mean, to your point, make it easier for folks to develop, that's the direction it's gonna
Yeah, so
go.
good go, yeah.
And so, is that what we want? You know, I don't know. And if it's not, then I, you know, I would revisit getting the data and seeing if people, but if people don't wanna do that, then
Right,
I
they
don't think we
voted
do,
it
I don't think we
down.
do anything.
We could do
Like, I wouldn't do a
we
thing.
could do a simpler thing. Remember, we had some things in
Like
there.
a
that-
voluntary sign up for short-term rentals?
Yeah, whatever, but I don't know whether that would be any more significant than this
Does
map
it
that
require a
Angie's.
permit at all, like even anything to have a short-term rental here? It doesn't, does it?
Say that
Like
again.
nothing.
$25, do you need to get a permit or anything? Do they need to do
That's
that in
what,
Bar
that's what
Harbor?
we don't
Do they need
have
to do
that.
that in Mount Desert?
We looked at that.
Failed too.
I-
I think they tried an ordinance. and it
Didn't work, that's right.
Yeah.
What about Northeast Harbor?
That's my.
That is Mount Desert.
Mount Desert, okay, so they didn't do it. They didn't do it either, interesting.
It's a
So maybe the
fear
people in town are happy the way things are.
Yeah, yeah.
What does Southwest do anything?
No, Southwood, no.
How about Trenton?
Trenton doesn't, because that's where all the people go to, they can't afford to live here. Well, it used to be.
Yeah, that's-
It used to
now
be
they can't
Trenton.
afford to
Now
live
they-
here.
well, Now they go into Lemoyne,
Yeah.
so.
No, you can't afford Lemoyne anymore.
When Bar Harbor prohibited new short-term rentals, it moves them
It just
out
pushed them out.
to the other.
Yes,
Up
yeah,
there, yes.
that's,
We just push our problems
Right.
other places.
if you remember what we
There's not your
proposed, there were
problem
some
anymore.
things like,
It's now ours.
life safety measures,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If we just did a simple registration process, I don't know whether that would be,
And then
course.
enforced life safety measures?
and
Who's gonna enforce
I would
it?
say anybody that has
Yeah.
one that doesn't have those things, they're really risking their property.
Yeah, it's gonna be all about their insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, because
But-
insurance companies already force you to have the carbon monoxide,
Yeah.
and the smoke detectors, and
Yeah.
security alarms, so.
Yeah.
Which is what we said with, carbon
They already,
monoxide.
you can't get insurance without those.
For a short-term rental, you mean, or just
Well, yes, if you're any sort of rental,
any rental,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what the insurance companies require.
What is this proposed economic task force? Does that exist yet? Is that what
No,
we're talking
no,
about?
that's what we're
That's what
talking
he's
about.
asking.
No,
You know
it
what,
doesn't
it's all on
exist.
them,
That's what
then.
I'm
It's on
saying.
them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and
Wow.
I don't see where we can do anything
It's
until
all on
we see
them.
what they're going, it's on
I
them,
agree.
yeah,
Right,
I
for
say
that part, yeah.
Until that
Jesse's
committee's
just got to
formed, there's nothing we
Tell
can
us what he
do.
wants. It's too vague.
Yeah, I don't know what's best for Tremont.
Why did you move here?
I didn't have a choice. The lab said you gotta move here to take the job.
I married a
But why
woman,
did
I
you
married a
pick
woman that
Tremont?
lived here.
Because it was the only place, because I moved here in February, it was the only house for sale in the reasonable price range. I could either live in a shack or a mansion. That was like the one place.
So did you split the difference or what?
I split the difference. It's funny, I moved here, I rented a house. The day I moved in, they said it just sold, you gotta get out. I had 60 days to find a house
There
and
you
move.
go.
That's how it
Yeah.
happened.
In town here?
No, I was
You-
at a cabin outside of Somerville. I moved in, and they were like, "You gotta go." I was like, "Huh, okay."
That was your
So I-
sign. That was your sign.
So I went to Bonnie. I
What
said,
did I
"Bonnie,
just
we have 60 days to find a house, close, and move in." And then,
Gee.
yeah, I was just lucky that David and Sandra were getting rid of their house. David and Delance.
Wow.
It was just pure serendipity and happenstance. So.
So I'm hearing that the town, a lot of people are afraid of regulation. That's just kind of inbred, like, they don't want regulation.
Of course.
Well, if there's not regulation, then things will continue as they are, and eventually people can't live here year-round, right? Is that what I'm?
You have two types of people in the town of Tremont, and this is my opinion. You have people who have lived here all their life, an older generation of people. And then you have the people who have done the short-term rental and decided they want to come here and live, a younger. So they want the regulations because they don't want what they came from. And you have the older generations who, it's nobody's business but theirs what they do with their property.
What they do with their land. Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
And that's why that the people came and voted
The way
that
they
the way they did, the last time we had it, you know.
Can there be different scenarios laid out where, and I understand exactly what you're saying?
Yeah,
That, okay, if it continues as this will be the end result. If it continues with this scenario, that will be the end result. And then people could see it clearly, even if they don't wanna change their minds, at least they could get a better view of the
you
future.
have that older generation that are set in their ways, and you're lucky if you can get them to come to a meeting, really.
Well, I was gonna say, we can't even get them to come vote, so.
You know, they
Yeah.
came out to vote because they didn't wanna lose their rights to do with what they wanted to with their property.
Yep.
And
people don't even like the ordinances.
Right.
You know, I have a piece of property, I pay taxes on it, I should be able to do what I want with it. Well, it's great until I start a junkyard or something right next to your house.
And the thing is, you know, you're alluding to some of the outcome or some, you know, outcome we don't want where it's not year round. But it's kind of like the frog in the, you know,
Water.
pan, water, you
Boiling
turn,
water.
like, nobody, like the folks that are renting right now and earning a lot of money doing that in short-term rentals, they don't,
They're
it's
happy.
not a, it's
Plus
not
it-
something that's gonna happen, that's not something they're thinking about happening in their lifetime, they care about, it's like something down the road.
That's why I was
It-
thinking, if we could put it out there, it would at least be something, if they don't wanna think about it, at least it'll be in the
In some
think
cases,
they're
it's
aware
not
of it.
even people that live here. There's a guy, I think he's from Texas, and he owns several, like over in Bass Harbor Woods. He owns several over in Southwest
yeah.
Harbor. It's just investments. It's
yeah.
investment property.
All I can say is before I moved here full-time year-round, you guys started out the comprehensive plan and sent me that, because I was an owner, a homeowner, I bought the house. I just couldn't move yet because I wasn't fully retired, but I got that comprehensive plan, what do you call it?
Survey.
Survey. Like, people can still get surveys and things, right, even if they live away. They might ignore the survey. In other words, you're saying there are people,
Remember, there was an issue with that.
you know, but I know, but you're, like, the guy who's in Texas, just saying, you know, like, he's not here, so he might not see what we're all seeing, but if you send a survey.
He doesn't care. He's
Yeah,
making all kinds of money.
Yeah, he doesn't want to change
They
the
don't wanna
status
change
quo.
that, he doesn't have to
That-
Right, they're making
you're-
money, they're happy.
It's his future.
They're not gonna
Well, the
ask
good
for
news is
changes.
he's probably not a voter, so.
It-
Right,
Well, he doesn't,
right.
well, you have to be a resident to vote.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time saying nothing can be done. I feel like, one thing I've learned living here too is just that things aren't gonna get done overnight. People don't do that. Like, sometimes it's several years looking at something, thinking about it, I'm not gonna do it this year, looking at it again the next year, oh, maybe, looking at it the next year, oh my gosh, you know, whatever, the lobster aren't, whatever's happening, things aren't as lucrative as they were, and then people might see it again differently. I don't know.
I don't know, I just thought this was kind of vague, wasn't very specific in things, and there's a committee that isn't even formed yet. I just don't know what we can do.
I think we're gonna table it for right now.
Take it under advisement.
That's right. I think we need, you know, maybe we need to do some kind of, you know, another survey, you know, just get people's thoughts on what they see the future of the town to be.
I mean, we're not the
problem
only
is that
town.
you get, you know, the thing is you get feedback from folks like yourself that are engaged, and you'll get certain feedback that takes you in a certain direction, but it's not the folks that are actually gonna come and vote.
Right.
Cause they're not gonna
They're not-
engage in
well,
that. They don't have time
okay,
for that.
so-
But when it comes time to vote and it's gonna impact them, you're gonna get a completely different
Right.
picture of what's going on. You're like, oh, okay. You don't want any.
Well, I came to the town meeting last year here, and there was like a few more chairs than this, but the chairs weren't full.
Yeah.
And I used to come to the town meeting when Wayne Livett was and it was down
Yeah,
at the gym, and there was
It was
standing
packed.
room only.
You gotta have pizza. You gotta have pizza.
Speaking of which, I was going to mention this
You bring
later, but
pizza
now that you
to
brought
town?
up the subject, the open town meeting is Tuesday, May 13th, 6:30, right here, and there are 6 amendments that we have proposed to land use ordinances that need to be voted on, so please show up.
May 13th at what time?
6:30.
6:30.
That's not on the written ballot?
Nope, it's on the open town
So 2
meeting
weeks
warrant.
from now, do we have a meeting that night or no?
No, which we're going to discuss in a little bit. We got to change our meeting because it was originally scheduled for that night, I
Oh,
think.
Ben's not gonna allow that, see, all we voted on the meeting
Oh,
schedule.
don't even go there. Oh my God.
I make a motion we table this.
Hold on, yeah, okay. You mean table this?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not the only, I want to say one more thing, okay? I started to say this and
Well, I'll
got
second
off.
it.
Okay, hold on a second,
So
hold
we
on a
can
second.
vote it so you can talk about it.
Discussion, yeah, discussion.
Okay, we're not the only town in Maine struggling with year-round
No, we're not.
housing, okay?
Every
And support,
county is that
and
way.
it's even worse, I think, in some places. And the short-term rental problem too, in other places, so. Yeah, it's a complex issue. It's nothing we're gonna solve tonight or probably for a year or several years, so I don't know. We should continue to discuss it at some point. I don't know how to proceed. Any ideas, other than tabling it there, Renee?
No, we'll table it.
Okay.
There is no good answers.
No.
Right.
There's no what?
Good answers right now.
Yeah, there aren't, yeah.
You know, and we've tried the survey thing, and you just really don't get any response. You know,
Okay.
unless you do what the census people did, go door to door.
I don't have a bulletproof vest. Okay, was there a motion on the table?
Uh-huh.
Okay, was there a second?
There was a-
Okay, there's a motion and second on the table to table. Taking any further action on or discussion on just the one goal?
1 and 2,
One
isn't it?
and, no, yeah, 1 and 2.
One and two,
One and two.
okay, of the comprehensive plan. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Okay. Ms. CEO, do you have any comments?
I don't, other than if you wanna talk about
Oh, yeah.
next agenda, cause
Hey, what's happening if they're gonna do that, thing at the school this summer, the farmer's market thing?
Community
We need to do something. And there's no way we can
we can't
get it on.
change the ordinance before then, but I haven't actually heard exactly what the plan is, or even it's even gonna be at the school, cause I know that wasn't necessarily the.
Do you want me to give you an update as far where we are now with it? So Julia Cordosa is kind of directing it. She's the one who has successfully started the community market in Town Hill. And we're struggling to get food vendors. We're trying. We're getting plenty of craft vendors, but we really want more food vendors. And so we've gotten permission. We've contacted Jandria at the school, and she's given us permission for Sunday afternoon at the school to be there
Outside or inside?
outside, in the parking lot area. But and we're now looking at the potential, if we can't get enough vendors, having it once every 2 weeks or even once a month, but at least getting a start and having it. And Sunday afternoon is an agreed upon time, we feel, because it doesn't conflict with the Southwest Harbor Farmers Market or any other markets, and it's a family family time and, you know, we hope will be accessible for people.
So unless we had a special town meeting, which isn't gonna happen, we're gonna have to wait till November and have something ready for, go before voters then.
Yes, I think the district the school is in doesn't,
Pardon?
I think the district that the school is located in, the zone, does not allow the food and temporary sales.
This wasn't thought through by the people proposing it.
I'd have to look.
Is it originally we thought of having it here, is it not allowable here either?
I'd have to look, I'm not sure.
Okay.
This might be the district here would be allowed.
Here,
so,
this outside parking lot,
Right.
right here.
Plus, there needs to be standards as to as far as what's allowed to be sold and certain, or not to be sold, that sort of thing too. Signage, any lighting. What else, Angie?
Just thinking-
I know you had a nice little draft there.
Yeah, mine was geared more towards farmers market, but farmers market by this,
I thought this was a farmer's market.
They wanna call it a community market, because it might, they wanna have local bands, like if someone wants to jam, you know, have some music there, might have a children's craft, tent there, to have it more be like a community market as opposed to straight food, like have some other things available to, along with the food.
farmers markets are pretty specific about what can be sold and by who, and it has to be grown and
Yeah,
by
this is,
certain people, so yeah, this would be a little different.
it
Is that
would
a
be-
town standard or state standard?
I think it's a state or
Stated,
farmers
yeah,
markets.
I'm pretty sure.
So Julia said the one at Town Hill, she is not a licensed, it's not, like, if you license it, then it has to follow standards. She started the one at Town Hill, it is not licensed,
By the state.
correct, and she is planning on this one also not being licensed.
So what's the difference?
I think, she knows way better than I do, like if you, I think, in my, I really can't say very, very clearly.
Is the one that's in-
Like seafood maybe can't be sold, chicken, you know, meat maybe can't be sold, things like that, I think, if it's,
How can they
the
do
state
this without
standard
having like
for
approval
that.
from the
I
town?
think so,
Pardon?
certain
How
things
can
that
they do
really
this
need
without
stricter
approval?
food.
From the town?
Yeah.
Well, I-
regulations and safety reasons kind of thing.
I mean, I know they asked.
That's Bar Harbor, so I don't know what the code enforcement officer over there knows.
Polarized.
Oh,
This is
you
a
mean for here?
polarized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, for here?
They- Yeah. we-
Oh,
They're
yeah.
gonna have to be,
they'll have to have approval.
Yeah.
right.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be on town properties, sure, certainly, right?
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
school, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, everybody all set? Want to go home?
Sure.
Did we vote on that?
What's going on?
Vote on what?
On
So-
the, tabling?
Yeah,
Yes.
we voted on that, it was unanimous.
You put your hand up.
Oh, okay.
Where-
Oh, I was just twisting my ear, I didn't realize.
Okay, motion to set the date for the next meeting for May 6th?
Can I ask you what we wanna do on May sixth, since we have no regular business?
Oh, okay. That's right, you were
We
gonna,
can meet to say we have no business and go home.
Yeah,
there's no business?
I'll make a motion that we have a meeting on May sixth, if warranted. 6 P.M. at the Harvey Kelly Meeting Room.
There's no applications, so it's.
So there's nothing,
It's
so-
not warranted unless you wanna add something to talk about.
So if they come in tomorrow with an application, would we have the meeting
It
or
would
we?
be too late.
would be
Too late, yeah.
So, okay, then we don't need
So,
the meeting.
okay.
I
Then
waste-
instead
I
of-
wasted a motion then.
This'll make you happy, Ben. What's our next meeting after that? Look at,
29th.
27th.
Oh,
27th.
yeah,
When,
today's
when
29th.
is Memorial Day weekend?
Monday is Memorial Day.
What's the date?
Tuesday, the 27th. The 26th would be
Yeah.
Memorial Day.
oh, I'm gonna be gone
Is
Memorial
everyone
Day
gonna be
weekend,
back?
but I don't know when I'll be back. Well, let's set the date there. I don't have to
Right.
be here. We have a
Right.
vice chairman.
I make a motion that we set our next meeting for the planning board for May 27th, the Harvey Kelly office at
6
six p.m.,
If warranted,
if warranted.
yeah.
I'll second the motion to have the meeting.
Okay, motion and second on the table to set the date for our next meeting for May 27th, if warranted, 6 PM right here in the Harvey Kelly Meeting Room, the town office. All in favor? Okay. Motion to adjourn at, what time is it?
It is
7:05.
7:05.
I was gonna say 5. Gee.
5:07, yes, my dyslexia is kicking in.
Did I get a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion second to adjourn. All in favor? Okay.